What's going on, guys? Hope everyone's doing good on a Saturday evening, or I guess Saturday night. I don't think I want to call this one a night stream because I didn't really do a AM one, or a stream in the afternoon rather. But today we'll be continuing the second part of the shop systems development. I sort of have a pretty cool bit of functions and setups that I want to share with you guys. Maybe you guys can use to set up your own shops. I don't know, or a starting point. Either way, I'm pretty excited about it. It's pretty much exactly the way I would like it to function for our game. So yeah, let's get into it. Also, special surprise, I set up the webcam. Um, yeah, so maybe this will be cooler for you guys. I don't know. I don't think its position is in a bad spot as far as occluding stuff that you guys could see. But if you guys want me to set up the composition of the scene a little nicer, just leave a comment below. Let me know if you guys would prefer it kind of the entire monitor to be cropped in, and we could use the right side for like a comment feed or something. I don't know. Just enjoying some tea here. Also, before we get started, I just want to thank everyone who's liked and subscribed so far. We actually reached 100 plus subscribers today, which I know sounds kind of silly in the grand scheme of like YouTube subscribing counts. Usually people are trying to get tens of thousands, but it's still a big deal for me and for everyone on the team. So I'm really just want to say thanks to everybody who gave us their support. Um, Anyhow, let's continue. Let me shift my layout here. So let's pop out this chat. All right. So if you guys saw on our social media feeds, I believe it was posted there. I think I posted it to Instagram and Tumblr. I didn't check if it's posted elsewhere, but either way, I'll show you guys here. So let's move my tea out of the way before I burn myself. Right. So pick a character who you want to play as. Doesn't matter, right? We have some shops here. We have the interaction system that's working with the gamepad now. We're just driving some text boxes, and you can use the X button right now to kind of toggle those messages, right, to work through the dialogue. But there was like a little bit of a challenge with the shop system because the shop has to open a menu, which like we've been working on our inventory system. That can get pretty dense or pretty complex rather. But not only that is that I didn't want to just walk to the shop and uh, open up a menu like a pause menu. It feels kind of impersonal. So ideally, what we have here is a dialogue start and end, kind of capping the menu. But also, what I really like is sort of this. I'll just show you. So we hit X to check, and we have, oh, welcome to the junk shop. And then we blur in our widgets, and then we have our buy and sell menu. I didn't get to designing the UI yet. Still kind of using the proxy stuff. Maybe we can do a little bit of that today. But you can go to the buy menu, and I populated a very base inventory here of the items you could buy and their costs. It's kind of like very simple. Um, and it's not like perfectly functional. We can see the details text is not changing, but that's like a really quick fix. It's nothing huge. Um, but the idea is you could, buy, sell, whatever. The sell menu is even more rudimentary. I just duplicated the buy menu for now. Yeah, but we can hit circle to exit out of the menu, and the shopkeeper is just like, "Yo, come back again," and then we're resuming here. Oh, and now the sky is kind of toggling to evening, which is why it looks all warm. But let's continue working on those menus. That's where we're at. As a recap, to share with you guys the process. So here we have a whole bunch of tabs that are kind of used for, different widgets in this case, mostly widgets, but I have actors in some of them. And basically, so this is the shop that we're looking at, and here's the camera that, that view that we look through while we're playing, while we're interacting with the shop. Excuse me. If we go over here back to our level, and if we highlight that actor, we actually get a preview. It's pretty sweet. A pretty sweet preview of the that camera's view. But anyways, all of that aside, if we look into the inventory, this is sort of the mass container, I guess, that's driving everything we just demonstrated. So at the start of interaction, we actually have like this initialize function where I just get a reference to our character, and also I get a reference to our game mode to set up the shop's inventory. Um, with regards to how exactly this will be set up is kind of, the details are to be determined, but basically we're going to have to get some sort of flag or check from our game mode as to what should be populated in the shop. Um, just depending on where you are in the game, you may want to offer different things to the player, things like that. Also, for certain key items, you probably want to have a way to track what has been sold, and say if things need to be sold out, we need to have a place for that to be checked against. And I thought the best place to do that would be the game mode rather than the character. You don't want to bloat the characters with things that aren't sort of essential to them. Um, but anyhow, this function here is sort of gonna. There's nothing happening in here, as you can see. The execution pin goes straight through. But here's where we're going to do something where we grab our game mode and determine what our inventory is going to be. Hopefully the audio levels are okay. I kind of adjusted them. Also, guys, if you guys want, so the whole issue of music, I'm using YouTube stock music now, and while I've grown to somewhat like some of the tracks, I really, really do enjoy just listening to like video game OSTs while I work. Um, but I know YouTube will probably put ads up over the stream if we do that, and because ad revenue is going to go to the people who retain ownership of those tracks. So let me know, like leave a comment below. Is that something you guys are okay with? Like speaking personally, I would much rather enjoy working with music that I enjoy. That's something that can like drive some inspiration rather than this kind of generic music. No offense to people who made this music. Way better than I could do. You know what? It's only not inspirational because I don't have it associated with a cool game I played. Anyhow, let's get back to our event graph here. After we initialize and get all the data we need to populate the inventory and things like that, I have a switch on integer input. This is basically just determining 0 if we're initializing the interaction with the asset, and that basically just gives us our dialogue. Hey, welcome to the junk shop, and then we immediately set this to 1, so that we're not getting any inputs anymore from here. That's because we basically add in the blur to our game screen, and then we create our shopping widget, which gives us our options. Do you want to buy? Do you want to sell? And after that, like our controller focus is applied to the gamepad, or sorry, excuse me, it's applied to the shop menu. That's the reason why we don't have any instructions coming through here. But anyways, from here we're able to launch our buy and sell menus, because we have a reference to this actor on our shop front. So if I go to the shop front, we can For instance, we can open the buy menu or open the sell menu by using the reference we have set when the junk shop menu is constructed here. And like the menus, guys, they're not anything fancy. It's just, I mean, visually, they're not fancy, but in terms of programming, it's the same kind of setup we've been doing for the pause menu. So I don't think it needs explanation. And if we choose to exit the storefront menu, right? So if we choose, back button clicked, circle, or left alt, we set the shop phase to phase 2. And then, we remove this widget from the screen and basically call this end interaction from here. And then we reset our page count and give the exit dialog that says, oh, come back again, right? Like any shop character would say in a video game. And after that, we reset everything so that this whole process can start back from the start. That way we're able to kind of get back into the shop menu. And after that, we just, reset our camera. Camera transition is called, what is it called? Oh, here in the beginning. And it's driven by two custom events, one to reset the do once, and one that operates a flip-flop. And I found this really, really, really cool function. Set view target with blend. All we do is we grab the target player controller, right, the current camera, and then Unreal just kind of very naturally and smoothly interpolates the camera's position from one point to a desired camera, which just I thought it was going to be way more work, to be honest. And then you can set your blend time here, and you can set the kind of curves you want. I guess you could break this and make manual curves, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I never did that before. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Right? Like these menus go deeper and deeper, but this is the basic format. And I thought it was really cool. Like if you guys have seen our downtown level, you'll know that there's a lot of different shops. So we didn't want a system where we have to go inside every building to access the shop. It might get a little redundant, especially if you want to, buy from multiple vendors. And I think it'll just result in better game feel. Anywho, let's work on this buy menu. Over here in the actor, we were looking at this shop inventory. Oh, real quick. Later, not at this point, but later, we actually would need to basically have another switch here. And based on if the game mode, we'll check the game mode to check what time of day it is, and if the stores are closed, or if the player is trying to go to the store when the store is closed, dialogue that says, "Oh, looks like you should come back when the store is open," or whatever, and then you would just end the dialogue, and that's it. It would probably be an interaction similar to the mailbox, where we would just kind of, whoops, Jesus. Let me undo that. Yeah, it'd be an interaction similar to our mailbox where we don't really talk to, or we don't have a cool camera sweep. We just kind of talk to an object like we're reading a signpost or something. Anyhow, let's see here. Let's move my screens around. Okay, so the buy menu. We notice that this text here is actually not so dynamic, which is strange because we should be getting the focused button and the item details. So first let's check the actors. Actually, it's not based on the actor. We're using the item the item struct to collect data and assemble it into a store's inventory. So that means the data for those are being set inside the shopping actors, set shop inventory. So yeah, by default I had two array elements. You saw them, the eCanteen and the water canteen, and that's why they had. I kind of just duplicated it for testing. So it actually should be working dynamically. Um, Hold more water, whatever. Um, and you can set the prices here, the sell and purchase value. Um, so the first thing I think we should develop is the ability to buy actual items and add them to your inventory. After that, we can. Once that's in place, we'll look into uh, how can I say this? Hmm, adding the sort of like the check where it says, oh, if you've bought this, now it's sold out, and then the inventory says, oh yeah, it's sold out. Like there's no more eCanteens left. You bought it, right? Um, so that comes back to what I was talking about. We'll do with checking from the game mode, right? The game mode's handling things like our quests. We have mission logs and stuff, and the day counter, stuff like that. Um, let's see here. Um, let's test that real quick. Yeah, welcome to the junk shop. Yeah, so we have our dynamic text. We have special text as well. I don't think it's necessary. On the character menu, it kind of was. Um, because we would, for instance, you'd pick up your eCanteen, but the eCanteen would have special data like, remaining charges 2 of 2, so you can drink from it twice. Um, just some water here, or sorry, some tea. Okay, so let's see what to do. Yep, here's a junk shop buy menu, and similar to our inventory, we kind of just populate this with data. Um, yeah, and similar to our inventory menu, it's a pretty beefy, menu here. I actually kind of disconnected a bunch of the stuff because there were some conflicts when I initially pasted it in from our item menu. Same with down here. A lot of the stuff isn't exactly set up to work. Excuse me. Um, right. So I have my trusty notebook, which I reference from time to time. You guys usually don't see it because this is my first stream with a camera. But this is it. I use it for all sorts of cool stuff. Like tracking frames and animation. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just gonna set up my workspace a little bit and okay. We have this dialog box that used to be used. It was pulled from our item menu. It says use and discard. To be honest, it should say um, like how many do you want to buy? And I think it's gonna actually overlap our initial. Um, let's do something cool. I mean, I want to do something cool anyways. Um, so let's we're not gonna do any animations right now, so I'm just gonna collapse these tabs for space. You know what? Actually, you don't get that much space from doing that. But anyways, um, so we have our anchor here. Let's anchor it to the top left. Where's this anchored? It's central left. Okay. I guess I'll anchor to the same spot. And let's sort of zero that out and yeah, move this back over here. So what I want to do is let's grab the size box, or increase the height. Oh, those buttons look awful when they're so large. Um, yeah, so this space is going to be a little different. Okay, let's think about this. I wanted to have this sort of overlayer item list, kind of slide in from the side, and when we're not working with it, we'll just hide it. Um, and in terms of positioning, I do want to lower it a little bit more. I want to make sure we can still see the word buy items, because that's kind of, the core of what we're doing here. And I don't think it needs to be as large either, or the width anyways. We can accent it differently and emphasize it with color as well once we have the functionality in place, but again, not really looking to do that right now. So let's grab a horizontal item box. Um, hmm, Interesting. Okay, let's grab the size box, the whole container, and bring that into our buy here. We want to just drop this into our vertical box and sort of, move this up. And in here, probably move this down, get a little bit of separation happening. So there are a lot of borders and padding going on here. So we have a border inside of a border for some reason. Or it's a size box is padding, excuse me. If we zero that out, that should make things a little better. And we should be able to just replace this with child. Didn't really do what I wanted to. Sorry, replace this one with child. Oh, geez, that's not what I wanted either. Actually, it is, but I kind of want that. Oh, silly me. Anyways, yeah, we do want that, because it gives us our two tones, like the actual border of um, our whole menu here. Anyways, we want to have. So, this is the menu that comes up when we have selected an item to buy. And depending on the item type, or depending on the selected item, you may want to buy more than one. Um, Maybe you want to buy 5, 10, 90, I don't know. Whatever the case is, we need to have some way to clearly communicate that and make it user friendly. So, what I have here in my notebook is that we have basically the focused item, just kind of putting that back on screen to show that, hey, what we're dealing with here is about this. So you know what, I will, for my own sanity, let's just, can I replace this with child in this case? Do I need a size box? Because we're holding the size based off of this widget. Yeah, it looks like it's fine. In any case, let me highlight this. And instead of calling it button background, I want to call it selected item slot. That could use a better name, but I guess the name doesn't really matter, as long as they know what to do with it. And from here, we are going to use a vertical box. Let's collapse this. We have a spacer, and then we have our section below. Yeah, vertical box. This isn't going to be called a button stack anymore. Let's just call this quantity select. And we're going to use a horizontal box, and yeah, we're actually going to have to put a horizontal box inside of, wait, We want to wrap this with a horizontal box. Yeah. Yes, this is what we want. Button use and button discard. We're not gonna really need that anymore. Let's delete those two. We have our horizontal and vertical boxes. Let's just autofill those for now. Or set them to fill instead of auto for now. Okay, so in our horizontal box, we are gonna have... Can I just insert from here? No, I can't. We have to break our palette. I want to grab some text and just dump it right into my horizontal box. Yeah, right here. And I want to center it. And this is basically going to read out our total cost. Text goes here. Something like that. And in the vertical box, we're going to have three elements. One's going to be a text again, so I'm actually going to copy that and just dump it in the vertical box. Whoops. Paste. And I'm just going to call this, number, because it's going to be our number of items. No, let's leave this as full and just justify it in the center this way. And we probably want to beef up this number, make it pretty like chunky and clear. Oh man, something fell into my keyboard, some dust or something. This is awful. It's gonna annoy the hell out of me. Okay, whatever. Okay, so 48. Is that good? Maybe let's go crazy. 64. Let's go 64 for Nintendo 64. Can we go to center? Center that. The next things we want to add are probably 2 images, but I like to do it without images. Here's a question. We can delete this and paste this back here. My question is there another, downwards version of this? Like other than the V key, which probably looks different, right? Maybe we could just transform it. Could we make it like a -1 scale? That's what we're gonna do. Whoops, not that. Let's see here. So sometimes, arrow up, and now we can apply containers to this to make the design look better later on. Add some colors and textures even. Let's just paste the same thing here. Right. So these are both set to fill. This is also set to fill. I think this should be auto. And so should this. I got this really awkward maybe they should all be filled. It's not exactly what I want. Anyways, let's invert the scale of this to a -1. And now we have a really bizarre hmm. So this is pretty much exactly what I thought was gonna happen. Hmm. Okay, no, that's definitely working. Yeah, let's just grab that. So if we wrap this in a border, and immediately we should make that border like just barely darker than everything else. Um, we can increase the spacer to something a bit chunkier as well, just so it's not right up against uh, the top here. But in any case, can we wrap this with a size box now? And I believe we can set a width and height override. We can't. Because it's not the topmost. Yeah, we can replace this with child. We're gonna keep the border though. And I think we'll just have to use spacers to offset everything inside of the horizontal box as we want it to be. So let's go ahead and add those spacers on the x-axis. There it is. Let's bring it to the top and bump that up. Yeah, so we just want to create some sort of, um, you know, constraints. I think it's kind of overkill to have a quantity counter that huge. Um, so total cost goes here. I mean, maybe we could put this in a vertical box as well. We should probably stack. Yeah, let's wrap this in a vertical box because I want to add another. Let's just Control C, Control V. I want to add another thing here that's just gonna read out kind of like, cost. We said 64, or maybe 50, 52. We can offset. We can add a little bit of padding on the left, maybe something like 20. And if we want to get really crazy, we could like, oh, stylish. But for now, let's just leave it as is. So this is going to be driven by a variable, and that variable is just going to multiply the cost against the quantity the player selected, right? This number here doesn't have to be there. We'll keep the icon and the text though. So I wonder, can we add some spacers to this? Right, so grab that spacer at the bottom and bump that up. Oh yeah, that'll work. With a border and the vertical boxes inside of it. Not exactly. Not exactly what I was looking for from the spacer. Whatever, we can design it later. Let's just work on functionality. Right. Now I just grab these spacers, and you can use those arrows to move them up. Or you could also use the, you just drag it inside of this hierarchy. Whatever you guys prefer. Sometimes this list can get like super intimidating, especially if you don't name your, at least your sections that you're working on. I guess if that's the situation you're in, it's easier to use these arrows, but in most cases, I just prefer to use the hierarchy. Okay, so this, I believe, is looking kind of exactly how I want it to, based off of that. Okay, so that should, be it for our proceed box. If we go back up here and collapse all this junk, oh geez, so many widgets, or like widgets within widgets, excuse me. Border description, we don't need that anymore. We also don't need this. Why is this here? It's just called the size box. How bizarre. Okay. Anywho, we have our border list. So here's our details panel. What I did want to include here is obviously a help description that's appropriate. I don't think we need this. But I did want to add we have a vertical box, which is perfect. I want to add another vertical text element. So yeah, I guess as a base, we'll just copy and paste that. And I want to grab the one that isn't bound. So should be this guy. Let's move it up here and wrap it inside of a horizontal box. Well, we got like this really long text. That's fine. This is basically going to read out owned, how many you own. Because that's kind of like useful information to see how many of an item you have while you're buying it. It's definitely a feature that comes to mind from Monster Hunter and all the items you buy in that game. Yo, what's up, Kratos? My bad for missing your comments. Yeah, sorry, got kind of tunnel visioned here. I really wish the whole screen would just go red on my second monitor if I get a comment. Then I would know. Anyways, yeah, thanks for stopping by. Just in some Saturday night game development. So here we're gonna add a. Not gonna need that much. We're gonna have basically a number, and we're gonna bind this to a variable later. Let's point out something maybe twice as big, and we want to shift this, justify it all the way to the other side, and beside it, kind of gonna have a whole bunch of text boxes here. This is gonna be our owned quantity, and yeah, beside it, we're gonna copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and yeah, let's put this to auto and this one to fill, or sorry, yeah. So we get something like this. They're both right justified. And we want to just do something like this, your owned amount. Um, so I'd actually like this to be like really bold, kind of like really bold and much bigger than this text. So we can put this down to like 32. Let's pull that down a little bit. Yeah, something like this. And we can add some padding on the right just to get some breathing room. I think that looks decent enough. We're not really in the design phase right now anyways. Let's I think the menu's reached a level where we can begin to kind of add the real functionality for buying items. Oh, how am I today, Kratos? Pretty good. Just enjoying some tea. I did a podcast with an old friend of mine. The podcast is called the Bonus Time Podcast, and it was really fun actually. I haven't talked to that guy in a few years, so it was really good to catch up with him. Uh, in terms of, I think the podcast is coming out, like in terms of release date, I believe it's next Wednesday. I'm not sure. He told me he would like tweet it and tag me and Dead Cell Games and stuff, so I'll probably just like retweet it and post it on our social media when it goes out. It was really fun. We just talked about game development process and a little bit about Project Grand Vault. Okay, so we are in the junk shop. This should be organized here. And you know what? I haven't saved in a while. I just realized that now. So let's just do a Control Shift S to save all. You never know. You never know with Unreal Engine. I don't mean to slight it. I love you, Unreal Engine. But sometimes you just might want to compile something or a tab over like this, and you'll just crash. Yeah, we don't need this grid. Why is a grid on? Oh, that's not the grid. That's the landscape tab. How embarrassing. Anyways, let's create the functionality for these variables, similar to this text here. Let's rename this first of all. Gosh. Yeah, get item details. And we're going to have another one here for... Let's grab our proceed box. What do we want to do with this? These are going to need... Oh my god. I want to probably put in some like custom textures or icons for this. This is like annoying me now that I look at it. Anyways, we need let's just center this. Yeah, this is a little finicky working with how these panels. Once you have so many elements deep, it's a little difficult to kind of fine tune it. Not difficult, but it's a lot of let me check this one, and make sure there might be one item in the stack that's like conflicting with the rules and not allowing you to do what you want. So it's a little time consuming. Anyhow, we need a variable for this. It's always going to be one. Let's just bind it to. Oh geez. Okay. We're going to need some variables. Menu description. We're using this, right? Yeah, we are. I don't think there's anything we can reuse. Let's just grab a purchase quantity. And we'll make that text. And we're also going to need a owned quantity. Nope, we're not. Do we need that? Yeah, owned. Yeah, that's fine. We can actually, we'll be binding this to a function. I don't think it needs a variable. So let's save and compile. So similar to this, we are going to create a binding, and we're going to call this get text. Hold on. Okay, anyways, let me fix this first. I think I just noticed something. We're going to get text owned quantity. This is probably menu description. This looks to be from an older iteration of the widget. I believe we can just delete this. Yep, looks good. Okay, so the owned quantity is actually going to be a little weird. We're going to get the focused inventory button, and we're going to get the item data. Wait, hold on. We are buying. No, we actually want the reference to our character reference. And we want to pull the inventory. Interestingly, maybe we can just do an inventory check and grab the item to check. Oh my god, if this works, I'm going to feel so smart. Okay. So it kind of works, but what we need to do, and it exists in this functionality, I just opened up my character. I opened up that function by double clicking on it. We actually want to get the amount, the item quantity that exists inside of this is a temporary function. Yes. So we actually want to output this integer. Should just be as simple as this. Item quantity 1. I think I just named it 1 because it conflicts with the naming. Yeah. Counted item count in inv. Okay. Should I move to the top? That's fine. think I let the little things bother me too much. So it always takes a little bit longer to compile the character classes because they're just way more complex. There we go. So let's get to here. So now, I believe we can get our item inventory count. And as I look at this inventory function and what it's looking against, I don't know if it's necessarily wise. Like, is it very expensive to do this? We don't know. I haven't done it before. But what I have done, usually, is just not do it that way. Just use the normal execution pin. We only need to get this info once. It doesn't change on the fly, if you know what I mean. But let's just test it out. Kind of just want to... Oh, this is interesting. Items to check. Let's just double check that for a second. And it's checking by name. Okay. Aces, we're good. Excuse me. We are... That should work. Let's play. And so, if we go to our shop, right, so we own 0. Okay, that one's not going to work, the water canteen, because the name is underscore instead of dash, but, and that's because we're checking against item name. But if we pick up our e-canteen here, we'll pick these up anyways. The idea is, sorry, didn't want to go to my skill menu. The idea is in our inventory pack, we have these already. 2 item packs, or sorry, 2 slots are being used, and we have 1. So now, if we go to buy a canteen, look at that, we own 1. And apparently we don't own any of these because the names are not perfect. That's cool. That's fine. Sorry guys, didn't mean to be rude using my phone on stream. Yeah, so that's working. Regardless of the typo, we know it's working. I'll just fix that real quick while we're here. Okay. Let's save and compile. That's cool. That's cool. The next bit that we want to add in is our... We can close this function and this one. If we look at our designer, we want to... We're going to get this guy to show up. So, you know what, maybe I'll create the animation for this now. Let's go to our window menu here and turn on our timeline and our animations. And let's create a new one called confirm, or I guess proceed. Enter. Whatever. And the only thing we want to do is grab the proceed box, right? It's, yeah, this element here. So let's go to add, and there's so many elements, but we know to look for border proceed. Border proceed box. Beautiful. We will grab that element, and we don't need a long animation at all. Let's just move this up. And we're going to create a transform with the idea being our endpoint will be on screen, and it's going to be a quick animation. I'm thinking like not more than a half second. I want to be aggressive and go with 0.3. Yeah, we can slide it around after. That's cool. So it's going to just be on the x-axis. Basically, we're just going to slide this in, almost like it's a slate or like a layer of that menu. And we'll just keep it off screen. Yeah, minus 1100. Try to keep the numbers nice. And yeah, it'll be something like this. You can click on this button here to look at the curves. So if we click here, we can see, yeah, it has a nice smooth curve with some eases in and out. So we'll just toggle it back. Like, how neat is that? Very cool, very cool. Yep, so now that we have our animation, let's save. And we want to add that animation into our graph and call it. So this function here, clicked, switch focus to proceed box. That's what we want to do. Let's create a watch, basically. I guess that's what I'll call it, a watch for this over here. And if, oh geez, why would there be integers here? I believe it's because, okay, I pulled this from the item menu, if I'm going to be totally honest. Let's just check against that real quick. On the item menu, it checks against if, oh, basically if your backpack isn't empty. Yeah, that should have been obvious. Excuse me. Gosh, dinner's killing me. Okay, maybe I need to get more tea. Okay, yeah, we don't need that check. I'm thinking, before we buy, before we're actually able to execute the transaction of adding to our character's inventory, we're obviously going to have to check for if they have enough money and if they have inventory space, both of which are fine. I'm just wondering at what point do we do those checks? Um, and I guess we want to check on this. This initial check should be, at least for now, you probably can't buy anything if your pack is full. Um, kind of makes sense, right? It should send it to your stash, but stash isn't working just yet. It was when we had our keyboard only interface, but I haven't customized it for the gamepad. But to add it there versus add it here wouldn't be that different. So you know what? We're not going to add anything here. We're actually going to get rid of that check. It's fine. We can just check for our input. And you know what? We kind of, why is it both plugged in here? Oh yeah, okay. Anyways, while we have the and open, instead of just getting rid of it, let's just set this up for keyboard as well, where our confirm input is our spacebar. And after that, we come through here. Is button clicked? We set that to true. And we set visibility on our border proceed box, which is this whole element that we were animating. By default, it's actually set to hidden, which is why when we apply the command to, like, hey, we want to buy these items, we need to make it visible. But when we do that, we also immediately, like right after that, let's make some space. We want to, for sure, add that animation, that really sweet, super advanced animation we made. So it's pretty simple. We just right click and search for play animation. And then in here, our animations exist. And we grab that animation. Beautiful. And we keep it nice and neat, like I like it. Number of loops to play 1, play mode forward. Yeah, that's fine. We play our sound effect to confirm, and then we cycle state to pressed. Now, that's interesting. Let's take a look at our shop button. It's actually based off of our inventory button. The only difference, only difference in the design is that this isn't for the quantity you have, it's actually for the cost. But the colored states are still the same. Slot focused, slot selected is gray. Not too crazy about that. How about the text color for focus? It's dark, and this is white. Let's make the slot color like super dark, or sorry, super bright. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. Okay. 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 So next, what do we want to do? We want to, yeah, we can toggle this to pressed. We probably want to do it before we make all this stuff visible, though. If you think about it, I mean, kind of just makes sense. You're trying to apply focus to that object, even if it's for an instant. Um, that's what the idea is. But instead, we're kind of just covering it before we can even apply focus. So let's just slide this over and go to our state cycle and connect these in like so. Yep, these are pressed. Okay, cool. Cool. And then from here we set initial focus options box. Right. So this was probably one of the more complex parts of the item menu as well. If we take a look at it, so target is widget junk shop buy. If we take a look at it, it's kind of doing nothing right now. It was initially checking if we could use certain items. Basically, different items can only be used in certain times. If you think back to things like Pokemon, you can't use your bike inside buildings, right? It's doing that kind of check. In this menu, however, it's not checking if we can use them. It's checking if we can buy. So here we're pretty much going to set our limiters. So we got to find, things like what's the max quantity our character can buy based on money and based on space, and get those two integers and pull them out of that function. And those are going to basically be our clamps for setting things like the max amount you can buy, whatever that number is. Man, getting really thirsty with all this talking. I'm actually going to be right back, guys. I'm going to get some more tea. So I'm not just filling water. It'll be like a minute or two. Hopefully you guys can enjoy these sweet royalty-free YouTube songs. I'll be right back, guys. Okay. I'm back, obviously. Let's get my slippers on. Okay. Got my tea and a saucer for the tea bag, so we are good to go. Alright, so this check here, we want the focus inventory button, get the item data, obviously. Similar to our owned quantity. What's going on in here? We're passing this through the character inventory check on our character class. We probably don't need that approach. Let's see. Excuse me. How embarrassing. Okay, so we don't really need to switch on the item type, do we? We kind of just want to get, well, I guess get the purchase value. That's a good place to start. We want to get this. How am I typing? And we want to. You know what? The first thing we have to do is actually work on this variable. Probably bind it to an integer. No, we're going to bind it to a variable. We have the purchase quantity. Okay, yeah, so let's just set that up right now. Purchase quantity. Set that up. Save. And I guess we'll call this desired quantity, and we can call this purchased quantity text. Did that break a reference here? No, it's good. I think it's good. Yeah, purchase quantity text. Let's compile that. Cool. And if we come over here, we got our desired quantity, and I want this to be an integer. Yes. Okay, so let's save, compile, so I can set that default. Default should always be 1. And I think we want to cap that at 1. Always. Why would you want to buy 0? You wouldn't even be in this menu, right? Anyhow, we're basically going to be, for our options box, and it shouldn't be called that. It should be called something a little more descriptive. This is probably going to be called something like max limits. Get max limits for purchase. Let's hop over here and let me just take care of my tea a little bit for a second. Okay. Right. So here, once we have our dialog box popped up, kind of similarly to what's going on up here where we set our button states, we're actually going to be excuse me. It doesn't really matter if it's can use. We're not going to use that here. Not right now anyways. We do want to run that though. And we're not going to be really using our button index. Let's set desired quantity to 1 always. So we kind of like lock that in right from the get-go every time. And from here, we're just going to kind of replace our button index, right? Let's break this for now. We're not here yet. Just ignore that. If it's equal to 1, we basically can't navigate here. Let's just connect that. I don't think we needed all those extra checks. And the desired quantity, right? So this right here should be, it's going to be pulled from here, really. I think that'll work just fine. In any case, let's set that here. Gosh, yeah, something similar to this, and we're kind of just gonna can we just increment this, actually? Do we need to do it this way? If I think about it, I don't see why. Wait, focusing up would actually be a D increment, or I guess a decrement. That would be an integer. And we want to hook that up like so. Set our focus sound effect. To be determined on that one. I'm not sure if we need a focus noise every single time. I guess we can leave it in for now. What I would like to do is get a print string, though. Because we're setting our desired quantity here, and increasing it up or down. But we need to basically do this. So I think this will work. From here we can grab the text to integer, and let's go into the game and test this. We haven't jumped into the game in a while. Done a bunch of work. Can use doesn't match any parameters on function get max limits for purchase. Of course. Let's go in here. Yeah, that's why. Get max limits for purchase is currently doing nothing. We don't even actually care about this either. Yeah. Item can be used. Not necessary. Not necessary at all. So that's a little interesting. That happens sometimes. You'll change a function and you're already referencing it somewhere in your graph. But I mean, I guess that's right. We're not really getting anything from the active character. We don't have to set a reference inwards like that. So let's compile, and yeah, that should be, Unreal should be happy with that. So let's grab Maya this time. Go into the game view, and let's check that menu. Yep. Text readout works. If we hit X, we get nothing. Something's broken somewhere. I'm going to Alt-Tab, and I actually just want to pull out the this menu here to my other screen. And I'm just going to debug against this. Turn my debug filter to the menu on screen. And let's see here. Hit X. Not getting anything. And the reason why is because we were using an AND. Can already see why. Silly me. Oh, I can't put this back in. Okay. Yeah, so if I maximize this, we have an AND set up here. These always should be ORs. And it's set up to be spacebar and gamepad, a scenario the player would never, ever be able to sort of accomplish. Hey, what's up, Prime Gaming for the win? How's it going? Okay, so this is working as intended, kind of. Let's dump this in here. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Prime Gaming, for some Saturday night game development with Unreal Engine 4. Okay, where was I? Yeah, so we want this to be OR. Just grab this. You can use Control and click to move pins that are already existing. Way better than having to rewire them every time. Okay, from here, this is working just fine. We want to set up refocusing of our up and down commands, which basically are going to be set up sort of from here. Is button clicked? Yeah, let's grab that. Oh, and look at that. My past self kind of knew we would need this. So now we should yeah, just gonna grab that here and set that up like so. Oh, interesting interesting question, Prime Gaming. I actually recorded a podcast with a friend today on this exact subject. Yeah, game development takes super long, especially if you are learning as you go, right? If you know exactly what you're doing from the get-go, you can kind of work with kind of like a pretty good grasp of your project management and how long tasks will take. You can kind of really plan and accurately predict how long it would take you. But if you're kind of learning, things will take a lot longer because there will be mistakes, revisions, and um, all the time it takes for you to actually learn and develop the skills necessary. Um, but the learning curve, if it's steep, not, you know, for me, I had a little bit of experience with Unreal before I got really, um, you know, knees deep with it like I am now. But um, I just honestly, I would say no. If you have the time and the passion, not, it's not too hard. Um, yeah, so go to our junk shop here. Go to our menu, buy, and if I hit X, we got our item count. And now up and down should actually be increasing this. I'm gonna have to check why that is. Um, Sorry guys, I need to use two screens to use a debug filter. Let's hop back here. The focus is being rerouted, which is ideal. Um, hmm. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Well, that is the answer, of course. It's always silly things that I get stuck up on. Yeah. If we're at options 1, we don't want to do anything. If we're equal to max here, which is set to our default, we can't do anything, of course. We need to apply a clamp, or sorry, we need to get our maximum item count, which is supposed to be run from this function here, get max limits for purchase. And we have our desired quantity. So the first factor would be bag space. Um, okay, that's also a good question. Are the entities and whatnot already programmed into Unreal? No, those are custom assets that I built. But Unreal does have some starter content, which is, I'm not going to say it's robust, but there's a character in there, like a robotic looking mannequin guy. He actually got a visual update and looks a lot cooler than that sounds. And there are some default animation sets, but it doesn't include anything to the complexity we have here. Not that I showed anything complex since you got in, but in our other videos you can see some like skill abilities and stuff. But if you're more of a programmer, there are tons and tons of art assets on the Unreal Marketplace, which are fairly well priced. Like I bought a few assets from there myself. Um, it's actually like a lot of assets. Like if you go to the marketplace, there are tons and tons of like, there's environments, VFX, user interfaces, even kind of like look at this, a behavior toolkit for different kinds of AI for your game. $70. How many hours would that take you to do from scratch? It's probably worthwhile for anyone to just buy this, assuming it does what you need it to for your project, right? It's most likely worthwhile to just buy this than to make it. And that's usually the case for most of the items here. I think they get audited when you submit stuff, so it's pretty pretty good level of quality all around. Okay, so what I did have an older version of the buy menu, and I'm wondering, unfortunately, I can't pull from there. I will have to do the same check we do on item pickups. Excuse me. So I'm going to just pull the code from there. So on our actors, sorry, not city actors. We want inventory items and the master actor. Okay. Right here we do a check for, well, basically inventory check, and look, it spits out. Interesting. It checks our pack capacity and the stacking capacity for that item. If we look here, just like before, we get if our pack capacity has space and if that desired slot has space based on the item we're inputting against. So you know what? Yeah, we can just make complete use of this code. So we can close our item master and go to, if we get back here, we can cast to our character reference, get that, and call the item check. Oh, no, inventory check. Inventory check. Yes. Cool. Yeah, that's true. If you're just getting your feet wet to see if you like game development, you don't want to be buying things right off the get-go, right? But, um, you know, it's a useful resource, right? The community assets, really cool. The item to check against is gonna be this. From here, we want to get some output booleans. We want an integer for sure. And it's basically going to give us the max quantity can by maximum. That's what this is going to spit out. Because we have our item cost. So I guess we also have to get for our character reference, we have to get the wallet. Is that what it's called? Malite count. We have to get our malite value. So just thinking here. Okay, so I just read your comment about the money that you get from the items. I'm not sure I haven't done that myself. Yeah, definitely the creator does get a portion of. I would imagine the creator of the content would get the large majority of um, the money earned, with Epic Games getting a few percent. I want to hope that's the case. I don't think it's something like a 50-50 split. That seems kind of crazy. Um, but I wouldn't know. That's something you could probably Google. Sorry, I don't have an answer offhand. Um, oh, this music's weird. Let me change it. So, actually, can you guys even hear the music? I should have asked that earlier. I have some YouTube stock music for what it's worth. Um, all right, so we want to get the amount that we can buy based on the purchase value. So I believe, if my math is correct, which it often is not, I believe what we want to be doing is dividing our money against the purchase value, which should. I'm just going to print string this. I'm going to print string this, and we're going to just get an append so I can get a clear readout. Let's set this to like bright yellow. Excuse me. Call this max can by quantity. Man, like super gassy. These burps are killing me. Anyways, it's going to be a bummer. Yeah, this we want to run from our function when we click on an item. The next thing I want to check against is, just for the sake of the demonstration, we should be getting whole numbers. I think it's automatically rounded. I think. We may have to do some float conversions, possibly, if it's not. But to make things a little simpler, let's just set our inventory cost for this to be like 200. And our character wallet is how much? 400, yeah, so we're looking for number 2. Hopefully that spits out the appropriate value. And before we test this, I want to go to the shop menu in the event graph here. Oh, sorry, the buy menu. And so from here, if button is not clicked, we open the shop widget, remove the switch from parent. If not, we want to kind of do the reverse of what we have here. Let's move our state cycle over. Grab this, hook it up here, set this back to hovered. Set visibility to hidden. Is button clicked? No. Sound back. That's fine. And we set the button index to the child based on the focus inventory button against our scroll box. Yeah, this should work just fine. Let's save, compile, and maybe I'll save all for good measure. Oh, dude, sorry if I'm making it seem like I'm annoyed. Not at all. I'm kind of just, I wish I could be of more help, if that makes sense. Unfortunately, I don't really know too much about the Unreal Marketplace's terms and like the agreement, I guess, of how that money would get exchanged. But yeah, I fully support your learning. Like I'm always learning too, man. Again, sorry if I made it seem like I was getting annoyed. That was not my intention. Okay, so let's hop in here. Check this out. Okay, junk shop, buy. So, can buy max is 2. That is quite perfect. Here it should be 0, exactly. So you know what? If you can't buy it, it should be gray, right? Like if you can't buy it at all, shouldn't you have like the ability to not even open this? That's what I'm thinking. Let's populate some of these other bits of data on the widget. Kind of. Oh, cool, that works. Nice. Oh, and we're in here, yeah. Okay. I guess we'll just escape. So on our buy menu, we definitely want to set this text with we need a variable, or we can just set it. We either need to make a text variable or convert this to a variable. Either way, you're making a variable. Doesn't really make sense. Oh my god, that's not even a word. Okay, that's better. I'm going to yeah, let's create a new variable called malite. gonna make it a text variable, and we're gonna set it up right here, kind of on our event construct. Let's grab our mallet, and we can just hook this up like this. Just thinking. So let's get the mallet value the player has on hand and hook that up like so. So now when we construct our widget, we should be getting okay, this gets data for purchase maximum and sets visuals on proceed box. And let's just pull this way out. Oh, that's awesome. That's really sweet of you, Prime Gaming. Anyways, good night. Hope you have a good rest, and hope tomorrow is a good day for you. Sunday morning. Sundays always feel good. And yeah, it's really sweet of you to say you'll watch more of my streams. Thanks. I appreciate it. Okay, so where do we want to be now? We want to set the visuals on the thumbnail and this text here. I want to say that we should just this is already a variable. We'll call this focused icon, and we will probably just bind it. Well, it's kind of already a variable. Okay, let's bind this to the variable we created earlier for our mallet. And we're kind of going to do the same down here for our focused item title. Just going to grab those two. Sorry, I want to set that. And do we have a... Okay, we do. Let's just pull a reference via a rerow node. And we can... Oh, shoot. Oh yeah, of course, what am I saying? We want the item data. Let's get this, and we can break it. And then from here, we can get our item icon. Not compatible with a 2D reference. Wonderful. Can we make this or break this? Or perhaps, what kind of variable is this? This is a image. Image break. Brush. Make brush from texture. Okay, I think the easiest way would be to not expose it as a element from the widget, but rather, oh whoops, I need to hide it. We want to turn off is variable. What I was thinking of doing is actually creating a binding it to a brush, basically. But instead of create binding, we would, well, I'm going to create the binding just to create the variable, because I don't know what the type is exactly. So we promote it to variable, and now we get the type, slate brush. We can call it focused item icon. Nothing before. And we're just going to delete that shit. Deleted. Okay. From here, now we can set our focused item icon and title. So we get the item name, dump that in here, connect our execution pins, so that gets set. And from here, we're actually have to break this. I wish you could just plug and play, but I'm gonna make slate brush, and I believe we want to select the image like this. Perfect. Draw image as, we definitely want to set this as 128 by 64, or else I think it'll squish our image. Cool. So, oh no! Focused icon, binding none. Oh yeah, of course. I got it. We want this to be the focused item icon. That's cool. And now Unreal should be happy. So now we'll get some readout here regarding this data of what we're looking to buy. And the quantity was always there. Cost. Right, so let's test that to make sure those references are working. And I'm going to adjust the cost on our inventory for that eCanteen. I just want to make sure it's rounding down, not rounding up, because this is an even number. So if we set this to 300 and we only have 400, we should only be able to buy one. Or sorry, hold on. To get a more accurate readout, just put this at 205. Wait, does that make sense? I think so. Let's check it and see. So let's buy this and select. Oh, it's not working. Woe is me. Oh, well, that's why it's not working. Unreal decided to crash. It shouldn't be an issue because everything was compiled. It just makes me sad. Okay, so let's fill this out. Maybe we can help make Unreal Engine even better. Let's say was previewing a game while developing widgets, executed a test play, launched new widget upon calling an animation, UE4 crashed. And we'll give them a sad face so they know how I feel. And send them restart. Not done working yet. Anywho, guess I could look at my notes or something. One of the things that's crossing my mind is this idea of having a So a little bit of info on the game design of Project Grand Vault. You have money on your character, right? You have a wallet. Let's say it holds $2,000. As you go through the game, you can get larger wallets, but from your stash, we want to be able to have, you should be able to store your money outside of your character. The idea is if you fall in battle, there's a chance you could lose it. Kind of similar to Dark Souls with the experience points, I would guess you could say. Oh, we're back. And yeah, so that's something that's going through the back of my head as I'm developing the shopping system. I'm thinking about, well, I want to make sure this is going to work for that future scenario too. And how would we lay that information out? When we cast our character to get the money, we'd probably add our total money, 100%. Yeah, let's go to our development room A. These are our levels. Right, and we're back. Real quick. Junk Shop Buy has an error. Look at that. Okay, so let's take a look at Junk Shop Buy. I guess we'll get there by opening up everything else and finding the references we need. So our Junk Shop actor is here. If we go to our event graph, we get all of our menus. So let's open up Junk Shop Buy. And herein is the error. Compile gives us nothing because we need to be here. So inventory button C needs a target. Yeah, I can see why it would be upset. You want that focused inventory button. Not compatible with inventory button. Of course. Of course. Focused inventory button should be. The inventory shop inventory button, not a character inventory button. So I get it. If that was the case the whole time, I can't recall. That's weird, though. I feel like that changed on its own. But maybe it's late. I'm just getting sleepy. Let's see here. The next broken reference is here. Let's just connect that. Okay, cool. And if we compile, it should spit out. No, it's not. This needs to be a reference. Like so. This should be fine, though. I want to believe. Whoa. What's up with that? Why are you spitting me out an error here, dude? Focused inventory button. If we just grab it, delete this one, compile. Okay, that's kind of bizarre. But Unreal seems to be happy now. So let's save and check against what we were planning to do. So let's buy this. Shoot, okay. Sorry, my phone's kind of going off here. Is this important? Don't think so. I don't think it's an emergency. We're good. Let's see here. So, not getting that text that I want to show up, but it's probably just because I didn't set the variable to reference the widget. That's fine. Clicking on this, max quantity we can buy is 0. And if we go to the eCanteen here, we can only buy 1 because they cost 205. We only have 4, right? Yeah, I'm just reading the print strings. If you guys can't see, I'm not crazy. I'm not just seeing numbers. So let's get some money. Let's break some barrels. Oh, we got lucky. We dropped to 100. Okay. From here now, we should be able to buy 2. Okay, so it looks like that check is fine for purchasing items. My knee's a little itchy. Okay, let's escape from here. Hop back over, and we want to... What are these errors? Light component must be movable if I'd like to move. Looks like... Is it this? Light source? Yeah, must be set to movable. Okay, I got it, Unreal. Now it's movable. I hope you're happy. No, that's actually kind of important. It's for our skybox lighting. Anyways, that should make Unreal a little happier. Back in our menu here, let's set the title text to the text we made, focused item title. That's why that didn't show up with information. We should make a new variable for this as well. Let's name it total. Excuse me, jeez. Oh my god, what's wrong with my body? Alright. From here, that should all work fine. In order to set a desired quantity, we kind of, for the sake of, let's put this 99 for now. Okay, get max items for purchase. Here we want to get, okay, so we have our, you know what, I want to delete that. Probably going to make use of this at some point again. Let's just shove that up here a little bit. What we want to get from here, I guess we can create a comment. Maximum quantity based on malite. We also want to check our item count. Like how many of these can we buy, right? But this limits this. This integer out gives us the item count we have it on our character, which is not necessarily what we want. We want to basically, we kind of just want to see if very interesting. because these spit out basically if our pack is at capacity and if our stack is at capacity and the amount on hand. I suppose we could use this information, but I want to say we could get a bit more detailed information as well. Ideally, we want to check against a few things, one of which is, if you go back to our buy menu, we're looking at the specific item to purchase. We want to check if, you know, can we have more than one stack, basically. And I think we're going to clamp. I think that's how we're going to, whoops, not that. What I meant was, I think we're going to have an integer clamp, sort of inform the limits of what can go here, right? Like, and there'll be several checks we have to go through. And I need to think a little bit about the order of priority, because certain things will form other things. Like, you can only buy based on how much you have. They can only, no matter how much money you have, you can only buy as much as your pack can carry, right? All of which should be able to be spat out from here. We just need to create a few more output nodes from this function, because some pretty useful math is happening, or like some good data is getting accessed, but we need to get the differences. But I think, whoops, no, we don't want to be there. I think the first priority is to check if this item is of the type where we can only have a certain amount on us. Kind of like potions, for example. You don't want to be able to buy 100 potions if you have a 10 slot bag and you can hold 10 in a slot. It's kind of like game breaking, right? You probably want to have only 10 potions on you. You just think about Monster Hunter. Like, if you play Monster Hunter and you know potions, you get it. You only have so many in a stack. With that in mind, we would check that first, and then we would... Oh my god, come on. Grab this too, please. We would grab those two and come up here for... what to do. Okay. So if we can only have... Whoa. Sorry. If we can only have, one stack, then obviously the max stack is our max, right? That makes sense. So really, we don't need the boolean. We need to select. We can rig it up like this. You can use this really cool select input. Use that to select a max from a boolean. You can use a whole bunch of different things here, including enumerators, which is super cool. But we want to check it based on the boolean. So if that's true, if our max stacks is, if you can only hold one stack of this item, the max you can buy is without a doubt the max stack of the item, in theory. But that then needs to get cross-checked against the amount you have on you and your money. Very interesting. So we'll disconnect this for now. I'm sleepy. Sorry for yawning. Yeah, I think it may be a good time to go to sleep, and I can deal with this math stuff in the morning. when I have a fresh brain to deal with it. So I'm going to save everything, and we are going to close this all. Okay, yeah, guys. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. It's greatly appreciated. Let me put on my cool end card here, and the sad music is perfect. Perfect to end the stream. Okay. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Again, I also want to give double thanks to all of our subscribers. We finally hit 100, which was such a huge goal for me. I know it sounds silly with like YouTubers like in the millions of subscribers and whatever, but we got a custom URL and it means a lot. So, from the whole Dead Cell Games team, thanks. I believe tomorrow morning Julio will be doing a game dev stream. So, if you're interested in behavior trees in Unreal Engine 4 and uh, programming AI kind of stuff. Not really my realm. I can't even describe it properly. Probably butchering it, but yeah, he'll have a really cool stream with like AI, I guess. Yep. So everyone have a good night and enjoy the rest of your weekend, I guess. Bye.